Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I do want to talk about a couple things here. I really want to talk about, I guess, Lenny James and, his want, I guess, for working with Andrew Lincoln again. I kind of want to talk about some stuff that's been going down with AMC. I'll touch on that a little bit here, but I mostly want to talk about the future and the plan for the spinoffs and just kind of all of that here. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get more Walking Dead content like this. So one of the things that I was always kind of, I guess a lot of us probably, not just me, but was sort of curious about regarding the finale and all that for The Walking Dead was whether or not previous characters would show up, whether or not if they did a time jump of a certain amount of time, whether we would see like Dwight or like Morgan or, other characters basically show up back at the Commonwealth and whatnot. Obviously, I never really believed it. I always just sort of wondered a little bit, like, would they do something like that? But I never really believed that it would ever happen because of Fear the Walking Dead and stuff like that, right? But Morgan and Rick, I really do believe that they do need a proper ending. I mean, the thing is like a lot of these characters need proper endings, right? Like I think a lot of the cast got some proper endings, kind of, though you do hear from some of the actors who are saying, well, I wasn't really satisfied with my character's ending, right? Like Kari Payton said that. So I can see how, in the future, you could reintroduce some of these characters here. And Gimple actually talked about that, and we'll get into that here. But with Morgan and Rick, honestly, it is one of those things where it's like, the season 8 finale, I guess, or the season 4 premiere of Fear the Walking Dead was kind of cool, but it wasn't really an ending to what those characters, stood for, what they introduced in the beginning. We really just need an actual conclusion to everyone's story, right? And so that's why, for me personally, I do want to see Morgan and Rick back together again, and I do believe everyone else wants to as well. And so I saw this here in an article from comicbook.com, but, Lenny James actually talked about that. Apparently he was speaking, I guess there was a finale event or whatever, and he was speaking about working with Andrew Lincoln again, and he said, I would work with Andy any day of the week on any planet, anywhere in the universe. I still speak to Andy. I saw him when I was last in London. We hung out for a minute. He's a friend for life, and there's a few friends for life on this job, which is why I'm so grateful for it. And, that's really cool. Like, I do think they will likely work together again. I still think that there is a need to really properly end these character stories, which is still a few years away. Definitely, it's still a few years away because they do need to build up some sort of bigger final arc here with the CRM, build up a big enough of a threat so that when it actually comes down to ending everything here and reuniting everyone, it does feel like the proper conclusion, right? And so that's why I think in terms of The Walking Dead and stuff like that, in terms of this current story ending, we're definitely about 3 or 4 years away, I would say, as of now, as of how I can see it. Obviously, I don't know at all, but just based off of some of the stuff that they've been sort of planning here, and I also saw that as well in an article from comicbook.com. I'll even link to both of the articles down below in the description if you do want to check it out. But in the article, though, Gimple does actually talk about the fact that he wants to do other spin-offs, right? Like there's actual plans to continue the Walking Dead franchise after these 3 spin-offs and stuff like that. And what he says here is, I will say, I'm hoping these are the first stories and characters we explore, and I really hope we do more. I hope we get to do that eventually, and I really, really do want to get into these other characters and other mythologies and other situations, so I'm hoping these are the first. More Tales episodes or limited series or spin-offs. I have a lot of dreams of doing more. Right now, we're concentrating on these, but give us a little while, and I hope that we can jump into other characters. In some ways, we are working on some, but we're not urgently working on them. We want to get these shows up on their feet and then start winding out the world again. And then he also kind of concludes with saying that we may actually see returning characters from The Walking Dead on those spin-offs and stuff like that, which I've seen some stuff like that too. Like I've seen some people say maybe this character will be on the Daryl spin-off or what have you, right? So it is interesting, that is one of the things that they can definitely do. Like they have a lot of characters that they can always have those characters in those spin-offs. I think for some of them, it's a little hard to do that, but not completely. Like obviously for the Daryl spinoff, it's very hard to do that, right? But the thing is, for the Maggie and Negan spinoff, what you can actually do is have a lot of characters join them over there, right? Like what if Lydia went over there, or what if Ezekiel or like Yumiko or whoever, right? Like you can actually have other characters, Aaron as well. Like they could actually show up in some of these spinoffs, definitely on Tales of the Walking Dead if they ever want to do a season 2, right? And so right now, obviously the focus is just to get these 3 shows up and running, right? The Walking Dead Dead City, The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, and The Walking Dead Rick and Michonne. I think these three shows are going to be super successful. The Walking Dead Dead City, I'm really interested in how successful that's going to be. It's a spinoff that is definitely, out of the three, the least intriguing, but is still more exciting than Fear the Walking Dead. And you're going to have a lot of people watching that more than Fear the Walking Dead. You know, like, I think that's the thing. I think the costs for it obviously probably aren't that high as well. And you only have really 2 cast members from The Walking Dead instead of a bunch of them. And so, and it's 6 episodes. You can really focus on the quality of it. I think it's going to be very successful for AMC. And then The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, I think, will even be more successful. And then The Walking Dead Rick and Michonne will be that much more successful. So, you know, when I look at these 3 shows, it's like, this is definitely something that, you know, is going to be really the center of the Walking Dead universe, right? And then anything else they want to do is just going to be stuff that sort of happens, I guess, on the side. So I think for next year, it's going to be these spinoffs with Fear the Walking Dead. For 2024, we will likely get season 2 of all of these shows. And I think that's where you can start to see characters like Morgan return, right? Out of the 3 shows here, I probably would definitely have Morgan go to the Rick and Michonne show. I do think that's going to be a reunion that does happen eventually, but that's likely maybe even a season 3 thing. I mean, you could argue that it should be a season 2 thing, right? Like, I think Rick and Daryl's reunion is more important than Rick and Morgan's reunion, only because Rick and Daryl were just closer for that much longer and whatnot. And I would honestly like it if, like, in season 1, Rick and Michonne reunited, and season 2, Rick and Morgan reunited, and then maybe in season 3 you have Rick and Daryl reuniting or something like that, right? Maybe this show is going to be a 3-season thing. It's a limited series, but limited series aren't just like a 1-season thing. Like, I know sometimes they say that, but no, like, a limited series really means that it's going to be this contained story. They know what they're doing. It might be 3 or 4 seasons, and it's probably going to be 6 episodes per season. So it's not going to be anything too crazy. Whereas I think with The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon and The Walking Dead Dead City, they could probably, you know, up those episode counts to like 10, maybe even 16, though I don't think they're going to, but I don't really think there's much of a difference. And I think with those 2 shows, it's not limited like The Walking Dead Rick and Michonne, where I think that show is probably going to go for probably like 3 seasons, honestly, 3, maybe 4 seasons. And then I think Dead City and Daryl Dixon, you know, I think those will likely go on for as long as they can really be successful, and as long as the story is really good, and as long as it makes sense with everything else, right? So to me, when I look at all this here, I'm definitely very excited for the future of The Walking Dead. The next couple of years are going to be so much fun, a lot of reunions, a lot of hype, just like, honestly, it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's where I want to get into some of the stuff that I did actually see online in terms of AMC networks, just like cutting costs and stuff like that. I've been seeing a lot of people post stuff, and for the most part, people just understand what is actually happening here. But I do see some people saying that, like, oh, does this mean that, you know, AMC is going to cut the Walking Dead spinoffs and stuff like that? They're going to, you know, end them and whatnot. I mean, I just don't see it. It's just a really insane thing to do. Like, The Walking Dead is their biggest thing that they have, right? Like, The Walking Dead is what is making them very, very successful. I think if you cut those spinoffs, then I don't know what you really have. Like, you do have other shows and stuff like that, but they're not as big as The Walking Dead. They're definitely wanting Interview with the Vampire to be more successful, and I believe that it is actually getting more successful, but you do need both shows sort of to be very successful, right? And I think that the major issue with what was happening, or what was announced today anyways with AMC Networks, is that they have been seeing these big gains and stuff like that with subscriptions and stuff to AMC Plus. The problem is a lot of people aren't watching on cable anymore. You're having a lot of people every single year just stopping, honestly, watching cable in general. For me personally, like, I don't really watch cable. I have it, and honestly, I have it just to watch hockey, but like, I'm going to be getting rid of it. Like, I don't really need that, honestly. I only really watch it for hockey, and I can kind of watch hockey through subscription services and stuff like that, right? Like, I don't really need cable anymore. And so I think you're starting to see this quite a bit right now. A lot of people are doing that. The problem is too, I think, is that there's a lot of subscription services out there, and I don't have a lot of them. I think right now, I even got rid of Netflix, actually, or maybe I have it again. I don't exactly remember, but I got rid of one of them to get something else. But there's a lot, like, there's honestly a lot. And that's one of the things that I kind of liked about cable however many years ago, was that it was just one thing that you had. It was just literally one thing that you had. You paid whatever it was per month. but you had like everything, right? Now there's so many subscription services out there that you sort of have to pick and choose, watch whatever you're going to watch this month or whatever, unless you're just going to go pay for all of them, but that's a few $100s. Like it's a lot. And so I think that's sort of where we're at with a lot of this here. And I think that's where some of that stuff is. Anyways, regarding the Walking Dead spinoffs, you don't have to worry about that. Like it would be insane for them to ever stop doing that. Like they want those shows to be very, very successful. They're about to film everything. Like those shows are coming out next year, definitely. Like you don't have to worry about that at all. I've been seeing people say that, but they're coming out for sure. Like they're going to be successful. They definitely will be. And basically what has happened today was that they didn't really see the fact that so many people would be not watching cable anymore, like at an increased rate anyways. There's a big increase in people not watching stuff on cable anymore, specifically with this year. So it seems like they just laid off a bunch of employees, or they're planning to, there's a leadership change, I believe, or something within AMC Networks and stuff. So that's sort of the overall plan here. But the spinoffs and all that, obviously The Walking Dead is their biggest franchise. That's not going anywhere for a couple of years. Like, I don't believe anything's going to happen to The Walking Dead, to be honest. I just really don't, unless, like, I don't know, maybe AMC sells The Walking Dead to someone else or something like that, right? But even then, if they did that, they would still continue with these shows and stuff and release all that because of how successful they are. The only issue I would say is, do they, at that point, because if a company's buying The Walking Dead, then that company might want to do some stuff with it. So does that mean a reboot, right? So that could be a little more worrisome. Yeah, obviously we'll watch, but it's like, I don't know, I really like the cast and I really like the current story right now. But again, this is all hypothetical. None of this is happening at all. Like, this is definitely something that, like, this is more of a business thing. This is definitely more of a business thing with layoffs and stuff like that. That's happened a lot to so many companies where they have to lay off a bunch of employees. Like, we hear about it so much. It happens all the time. So that's all that is. The Walking Dead is totally fine. And I'm very, very excited to see where the franchise is going to be going over the next couple of years here. Next year, we know what's happening. But we're sort of in this place where it's like, well, we'll see what these shows are going to be and how successful they're going to be and what plans they have for their overall story. And then we'll know what's happening for 2024. And the thing about 2024 is we're going to know a lot, honestly, by next summer. Like by Comic-Con next year, we're going to know a lot of what's coming out in 2024 because by summer, Dead City will have aired. By then, we should get confirmation on a season 2 and all of that. So yeah, but anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.